Lesson 12. The bus stop that haunts children. Let's get going. Trees have been put to various use by human beings over the centuries. Students have been taught under large trees. Village panchayat have been held under them. And even today, in some places, such practices continue. Can you tell any usual ways in which trees are still used in some parts of the world? Read to understand. Here is what Susan Getz, the author, say about her story. When I was much younger, I lived in the Republic of Malawi in Africa. For some time, I grew very fond of the baobab trees. We call them upside-down trees because they look as if they have been planted the wrong way up with their roots waving in the air. They have a wonderful hollow space in the trunk. People have used this space for a house, a jail, a shop, a bus stop, and even a public conveyance with a flush toilet inside. Precious though the bus stop was a witch, she had nightmares about it. But it's not what you are thinking. She wasn't crazy. You too might have had nightmares about the particular bus stop. But on that Saturday morning, being scared of the bus stop was very inconvenient, for Precious had to wait by it for the bus to town. She was going to the market. Capito, her big brother, was chopping maize out in the fields, so it was up to Precious to do the shopping. She didn't mind that. She was proud of being given a responsibility, but she wished with all her heart that the bus would turn up soon. Rice, cassava, beans, said Precious to herself. Those were the things she had to buy at the market. Precious tried to keep a safe distance from the bus stop. She looked up and down the road, empty, except for a coat. No one came to wait with her to protect her if the bus stop should turn nasty. She had to wait alone. The bus stop was a baobab tree, a massive tree with a solemn, lumpy trunk. It was hollow inside. It made a great bus stop. 6 or 7 people could take shelter inside it from the sun, but nothing would make Precious take shelter inside the trunk of the old baobab tree. When she was very small, Capito had said, "That tree is a witch tree. Look at her warty face, her long bony fingers." And it was true that if you started very hard at the trunk, you could see a face there. It was a solemn face, with a big hooked nose, and the thin whippy twigs. And the thin whippy twigs did look like finger or claws. The baobab was 1,000 years old. It was the kind of tree you could believe all sorts of things about. But Precious was 10 years old now. She had responsibilities, and she tried not to believe the stories the Capito told her. This was harder than it might seem, for Capito was a brilliant storyteller. She loved telling scary stories. He liked to frighten you if he could. It made him feel good. Capito had told her, for instance, that there were spirits living in the thatch of their hut. They slide out the night to guzzle on the blood of sleeping children and grow fat. He had told her earlier that the walking dead prowled round their hut at night. They called, "Whoo! Whoo!" for you to come and join them in their cold and lonely graves. Precious didn't believe any of that stuff anymore. She couldn't help feeling that the bus stop was a witch. "What's wrong with you, Precious?" she scolded herself as she waited for the bus to town. "You are grown up by now, and scared out of your wits by bus stops. Shame on you!" She held the grass basket over her head like an umbrella to shade herself from the sun. She looked up and down the road in both directions empty. Precious shriveled. She couldn't help recalling Capito's stories about the witch tree. That place where you wait, Capito had said, for the bus inside the tree. That is the witch belly. It is okay when grown-ups wait there, but when children wait for the bus all on their own, the witch's belly begins to rumble. That means she is hungry. And then zip, just like zipping up your clothes. The witch tree closes up the child inside it. The child may shout and scream. No one will hear. And after some time, the witch tree opens up again. But where is the child? The child is nowhere to be seen. The bus stop is empty. The priestess had said, "Where is the child?" Even though she already knew the answer. The witch tree has eaten her, of course. Capito had answered. Even her bones. But the witch does not eat them all. If her belly is full, she keeps the child until she is hungry. Do you see bumps on the trunk of witch tree? Precious saw them. That is witch slaughter, Capito had said. Put your ear close. You will hear the child inside, calling out for help. Don't be silly, Precious had said. You are only trying to frighten me. There is no child in there. She had put her ear against the witch tree's largest bump to show she was not scared. But then she lay back in horror. She had heard a child, a tiny peeping voice inside the trunk. See, I told you, Capito had said. You remember that child who went missing from the next village? But everybody says a leopard took him or a hyena. They don't know anything, Capito has said. The child was probably waiting at the bus stop on his own. That poor child is probably inside the lump on the witch tree. It is his voice you are hearing now. What did he say? I don't know, said Precious miserably. I bet he said, help me, said Capito. But nobody can help him. The witch tree has got him. So that is Precious, on that Saturday morning, was keeping a safe distance from the bus stop. But then she heard something. It made her blood turn icy cold, even in that freeze sun. Tap, 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 tap. The sound was coming from the largest bump on the tree, the one where Capito said the poor lost child was trapped. He was trying to escape. Tap, tap. A hole appeared in a trunk. Aye! Cried Precious, terrified. If she hadn't had a bus to catch, she would have run away. The hole got larger. Soon a finger would poke through, or a hand. Then the head of the poor lost child would follow. But none of these things happened. Squeezing through the hole in the witch tree came a tiny rumpled baby bud. It flopped onto the nearest branch and gushed it. Precious forgot how scared she was. She forgot that witch tree might zip her inside and eat her. She came up close. She put her eyes against the hole. Capito, she grinned to herself. You are the world's greatest liar. For inside the witch tree was not a widmut to keep them safe from snakes and eagles. But now they had hatched, and they were breaking out one by one. The mother bird was now feeding the chicks, which had hatched. Tap, 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 and the chick came rumbling out. Precious laughed. I never really thought, she told herself, that the bus stop would eat me. Only someone with a head as empty as this basket would think that. Precious sat on the bus. Cassava, beans, rice, she said, so she didn't forget. Then she thought about the new baby her mother was going to have. Maybe he would have arrived by the time she got home. Would Precious tell her new brother or sister stories about child-eating bus stop? Stories like the one Capito told her? Of course she would, for it would be a great shame, wouldn't it, to waste a good story?